The grand court of the empire was quiet like a dead world. No whisper, no footstep, no breath dared to break the still air. Tall silver pillars rose into darkness, and small blue flames floated above the long floor, casting cold light. Every person stood stiff, waiting for the one man who had dared to challenge the empire's plan. General Kael Varin. He walked slowly toward the high throne, his heavy boots echoing across the hall. His armor was scratched from countless battles, but today he looked different. His face was tense, almost troubled. He was a man who had won wars for the empire, but now he was afraid of something even he could not fight. When he stopped before the throne, the entire court went silent again, as if the room itself held its breath. The high throne sat at the center of the hall. It was a massive structure carved from dark stone, older than the empire itself. Behind the throne, crimson curtains flowed like blood in water. The emperor sat hidden behind them. No one ever saw his face. No one ever heard his natural voice. He only spoke when he wanted to, and some said he had not spoken in years. Kael raised his head. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady but strained. "I stand here to give my last warning." Every guard tensed. Every noble turned their eyes toward him. Speaking against the empire's plan was dangerous. But Kael had always been brave. He continued, louder this time. "End the operation against Earth. Stop the attacks on humans. Do not force them into war with us." A few nobles frowned. Some whispered. Others looked away. Humans were seen as a small, unimportant species. The empire believed they could crush Earth in one strike. But Kael knew better. He took a deep breath before speaking again. "I have faced humans on the field," he said. "They fight in a way I have never seen. When they fall, they stand again. When they break, they still move forward. When they lose hope, something inside them wakes." The hall remained silent. Kael's voice softened, but his words grew heavier. "It is not just courage. It is not just anger. It is something much deeper. Something I cannot name. They turn fear into strength, pain into power. If we push them too far, they will explode with a force we cannot control." Still, the high throne gave no answer. Kael looked up at the red curtain, hoping for even a single word. Nothing. The blue flames flickered as if they were afraid to stay alive. He tried again. "Your Majesty, I have never failed you in war. I have never questioned your orders. But humans are different. If we invade Earth, our empire will face something it has never faced before." Silence swallowed his words. Kael's fingers curled into fists. He felt anger, fear, and helplessness all at once. "I beg you," he said softly. "Hear my plea." But the throne did not move. The emperor did not speak. The silence was the answer. Kael exhaled slowly. He had tried. He had spoken the truth. But the empire had chosen silence over wisdom. He turned and began walking away from the throne. His steps were slow, heavy, and lonely. The court watched him go, some with shame, some with fear, and some with cold, empty eyes. When he reached the huge doors of the hall, he stopped. Two shadows moved along the tall pillars. Kael turned carefully. Two imperial shades stepped out from the darkness. Their black armor covered their faces. Their movements were quiet, almost unreal. They were known as the silent watchers of the emperor. They watched Kael with expressionless eyes. Not attacking, not speaking, just watching. Kael felt a chill run through his spine. Were they making sure he left the court? Or were they making sure he did not return? Or something worse? He walked past them without a word. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly. Two pale moons hung over the empire's capital, giving the world a cold glow. Kael breathed deeply, trying to calm his racing heart. His wrist device beeped suddenly. A message. Origin. Deep Space Relay 47. Priority level. Red. Status. Urgent. Kael opened it. A small hologram appeared in the air. It showed a broken Imperial ship drifting in the dark. Its hull was torn open from the inside. Not by weapons. Not by explosions. By force. The recording zoomed closer. A giant handprint was pressed into the steel, as if someone had grabbed the ship with bare fingers. Kael stared at it in shock. "No, impossible," he whispered. A voice struggled through static. "This is Scout Vessel Orin. Humans. Changed, they." The message cut off with a scream. Then silence. Kael closed his eyes. He understood. Something powerful had awakened on Earth. Something the Empire had never seen. Something the throne refused to believe. The shades were still standing behind him. Watching. Waiting. The wind grew colder. Kael whispered to himself. The hardest war is coming. And the Empire is not ready. And above him, the twin moons shone like two silent warnings. The news of the destroyed scout ship spread through the Empire like a hidden fire. No official dared to speak about it. No officer wanted to report it. The throne remained silent. But deep inside the military command rooms, fear grew like smoke in a closed chamber. General Kael Varen walked through the metal halls of the war center, his steps fast and sharp. Officers stared at him with worried eyes. They knew he had warned the throne. They also knew the Empire never listened until it was too late. Kael entered a dark room where a long table projected floating maps of star routes. 3 commanders stood around it, their faces tight with concern. Commander Reth was the first to speak. "General, another message just came from the fleet near Earth." Kael's jaw tightened. "Show me." A hologram flickered. It showed Admiral Syrax, leader of the Empire's first strike fleet. His armor was cracked, his face pale. "General Kael," Syrax said, breathing hard. "We attacked the human defensive line. It was a small fleet. Weak ships. Nothing compared to us." He paused. His eyes darkened. But something happened. Something none of us expected. The video shifted to battlefield footage. Kael saw it clearly this time. An Imperial battleship firing on a small human vessel. The human ship trembled under heavy fire. It should have broken. It should have exploded. But it didn't. Instead, it accelerated. Straight toward the battleship. Not to escape, but to ram it. The human ship smashed into the Imperial cruiser with a force that looked impossible. Metal bent like soft cloth. The battleship broke into 2 burning halves. Kael felt his chest tighten. Commander Reth whispered, "Why would they ram a ship that size?" "It is suicide." Kael shook his head. "Because humans do not retreat. They would rather destroy the enemy than save themselves." The recording continued. Another human ship, smaller, hit an Imperial destroyer. The destroyer fell apart in seconds. The human pilots had given their lives without hesitation. Admiral Syrax appeared again on screen. "General, something was strange. When their ships burned, human soldiers came out in escape suits. Their suits were damaged. Their oxygen was low. But they still fought. They fired at us in open space. They held their weapons even while falling toward a moon." The video cut to a terrifying moment. A human soldier, floating in vacuum, armor broken, still raising his rifle and firing at an Imperial drone. Kael clenched his fist. "This is what I warned the throne about," he said softly. Commander Vea, a sharp-eyed woman, stepped forward. "But this isn't the worst part." She tapped the table. The room darkened. A new recording began. This time, Kael saw something chilling. A small human group boarded an Imperial cruiser. Only 6 of them. Against nearly 200 trained Imperial guards. But the humans moved with unnatural speed. Not superhuman. Just desperate, burning with a force that made their attacks terrifying. They took hits, fell to one knee, stood again, and kept fighting. One human soldier dragged himself across the floor with a broken leg. He still grabbed the foot of an Imperial guard and pulled him down. Another human, bleeding heavily, held a grenade and rushed straight into a group of guards without fear. The recording ended in static. No survivors. Commander Vea spoke in a low tone. "General, this was only the Empire's first test attack. And we failed." Kael stayed silent for a long moment. His heart felt heavy. Not because he feared humans, but because he feared what the Empire would do next. "Where is the rest of Admiral Syrax's fleet?" Kael asked. The room grew even colder. Commander Reth swallowed. Gone. Kael looked sharply at him. Gone. Reth nodded slowly. No signals. No distress calls. No escape pods. It is as if something wiped the entire fleet out. Kael's breath stopped for a second. And humans claimed victory? Vea shook her head. No. That's the strange part. They did not chase. They did not send messages. They did not show themselves. Kael whispered, "They are waiting." The commanders exchanged nervous looks. Kael turned away from the table, walking to the large window overlooking the Empire's capital. The two moons hung in the sky, pale and silent. He spoke without looking back. The throne believes humans are weak. The throne thinks they will break easily. But the throne is wrong. He looked at his own reflection in the window. Tired eyes, heavy shoulders. Humans are changing. Something inside them is waking up. They will not stop. They will not fall. And if the Empire keeps pushing them... He turned around slowly. The Empire will learn what a cornered human can do. As the room fell into silence, a new alarm sounded. Incoming message. From Earth orbit. Unknown human source. Urgent. Kael stared at the flashing light. "Open it," he ordered. The screen lit up with a single message. A simple sentence. "We warned you." Kael felt the floor of the Empire shift beneath his feet. The real war had begun. The frontier station Velis 9 sat on the far edge of the Empire, close to the route that led toward Earth. It was one of the oldest outposts, built to watch smaller worlds and keep the borders safe. For years it had been calm, a quiet place where soldiers complained more about boredom than danger. Until today. The Empire received no report from Velis 9 for over 12 hours. Not even a simple status ping. At first, commanders thought it was a system glitch. But then the second outpost, Velis 10, also went silent. That was when fear began to spread. General Kael Varen rushed to the control center where a giant screen displayed the star map. Red marks blinked on 2 frontier points. Both unreachable, both dark. Commander Vea stood beside the map, her face sharp with tension. "We tried all channels," she said. "Direct signals, long-range waves, emergency lines, nothing." Kael kept staring at the blinking marks. "What ships were near the frontier last?" he asked. "A patrol unit," Vea replied. 3 cruisers. They also went silent. Kael's heart tightened. That made 5 Imperial units gone without a sound. Reth entered the room next, carrying a datapad. His steps were quick, almost frantic. "General," he said, "we got a partial recording from a drone that passed near Velis 9 3 hours ago." Kael lifted his head. "Show me." The screen shifted. Static. Light distortion. Then, a view of Velis 9. Or what remained of it. Kael felt the air leave his chest. The entire outpost looked melted. The metal towers drooped like soft wax. The docking platforms were burned black. The windows were shattered. Smoke drifted into space like long, dark fingers. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't a weapon strike. It looked like something had grabbed the station and crushed it. Commander Vea whispered, "What kind of force can do that?" The drone camera zoomed. The armor plates of the station had long drag marks, like something huge had scraped across them. But the marks were not clean lines. They looked like fingerprints. Giant fingerprints. Kael stepped closer to the screen. "No alien species in this region has strength like that," he said. "Not even our war machines." Reth swallowed hard. "General, there's more." The drone view switched to the side of the station. Something had been carved into the metal. A symbol. A human handprint. Again. Kael felt a cold rush go down his spine. "This is the same as the scout ship," he said quietly. Vea nodded, her voice shaking. "General, humans do not have creatures or machines that can crush stations with their bare hands. This is something else." Kael closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the silent message from Earth. "We warned you." He opened his eyes. "Play the last 10 seconds," he said. The screen flickered again. The drone moved closer to the burned docking ring. Shapes lay floating in space. Armor pieces, broken suits, shattered weapons. Reth zoomed in. The pieces were from Imperial soldiers. But something was different. Their armor plates had been ripped open, not by plasma, not by bullets, but by sharp force, like claws or enormous hands. Kael whispered. Something boarded the station. Vea turned to him sharply. Humans! Kael shook his head. Humans can be fierce, but this strength, this is beyond normal. Reth stepped forward. General, look at this. He tapped the screen. The camera showed a message burned into a metal wall inside the station. Not written. Burned. 3 words. Don't follow us. Vea felt her breath stop. They left a warning. Kael stared at the words. Or a threat. Silence fell across the room. Finally Vea spoke. General, what do you think happened here? Kael answered calmly, but his voice carried deep fear. The humans destroyed Velis. 9 to protect a secret. They don't want the Empire moving closer to Earth. So they are burning the frontier 1 outpost at a time. He looked at the giant map again. If the throne doesn't stop, humans will push deeper into our space. Just then, the alarm screamed. A new alert flashed across the screen. Frontier Station Velis, 11. Lost contact. Last signal. Unknown movement approaching. Station status. Red. Reth muttered. This is not defense. This is a hunt. Kael turned toward the hall doors. We are losing the frontier, he said. If humans keep advancing, they will soon reach Imperial territory. Vea looked at him. Why don't they talk? Why don't they explain what they want? Kael answered with a dark expression. They did talk. They sent messages. They warned us. We ignored them. He walked to the window overlooking the city. Shadows from the twin moons stretched across the buildings. Humans fight hardest when they protect something, he said. And whatever they are protecting now, they will destroy anything that gets close. Reth stepped forward hesitantly. General, what should we do? Kael didn't turn around. Prepare every fleet on the inner border, he said. Because soon, humans will reach us. As the alarm continued to echo through the war center, Kael whispered something only he could hear. The Empire started this. The humans will finish it. The Empire did not stay quiet after the fall of the frontier stations. They were angry. They were humiliated. They wanted to show the galaxy that no one could scare them, not even humans. So they sent their most feared unit, the Night Hunters. They were silent killers, trained to track and destroy targets across any world. Their armor was dark as frozen space. Their blades were sharp enough to cut through starship metal. No species had ever survived their arrival. The mission was simple. Land on Earth. Capture key humans. Learn their secret. Destroy any resistance. General Kael Varen stood on the war balcony as their ship, the Duskfang, left the capital. He watched the engines disappear into the sky. His heart felt heavy. He whispered, they should not go there. But the throne had made its choice. The hunters would invade Earth. And nothing Kael said could stop it. The Night Hunters reached Earth on the 3rd rotation. Their landing was perfect. No sound, no light, nothing to warn the humans. Commander Vark, leader of the hunters, stepped out of the ship. His armor was thick, and his voice was sharp as a broken blade. Spread out. Capture any humans you see. We bring them back alive. The hunters moved like shadows through the forest. Leaves didn't even crunch under their feet. But something felt wrong. Too quiet. Earth was full of life. Birds, insects, winds. But here, the forest made no sound. No movement. No breath of wind. One hunter whispered, Sir, this place, it feels watched. Vark ignored him. Humans are weak. Keep moving. They moved deeper. Trees stood tall and dark around them, like silent guards. A cold mist crawled through the ground. The shadows between the trees grew thicker, darker. Then the first sign appeared. A giant footprint. Human shape, but not normal size. Vark knelt beside it. The print was pressed deep into the soil, almost 8 inches down. What kind of human leaves this? A hunter whispered. Vark stood. A large one. Nothing more. But his voice was not steady. They continued forward. An hour later, the hunters reached a broken military truck. Human design. The back doors were torn open. Not cut. Ripped. Inside, every weapon rack was empty. A hunter touched the metal. Still warm. Another whispered. Something was here. Recently. Vark ordered. Check for bodies. But there were none. No blood. No footprints leaving the site. Just claw marks. Too big for any human. The forest wind suddenly rose. Cold and sharp. Then, crack. A tree behind them snapped and fell. The hunters spun around. Blades ready. Nothing was there. Another sound came from the left. Heavy breathing. The right. Crunching steps. Then behind them. A deep growl. The hunters formed a circle. One hunter whispered, "Commander, something is hunting us." Vark raised his blade. "Show yourself." The forest stayed silent. Then the ground shook. Once. Twice. Something large was moving fast. Vark barked, "Weapons ready." But the attack came too fast. A massive figure burst from the trees and slammed into one hunter with enough force to throw him 10 meters. His armor cracked like thin glass. Before he could stand, a giant hand grabbed him. One squeeze. Armor shattered. Bones cracked. Silence. Another hunter screamed, "It's not human. It's a monster." But Kael's warning echoed from far away. Humans change when pushed. The figure stepped into the moonlight. It was a human, but bigger, stronger, eyes burning with fury, muscles tight like steel, breathing like a storm ready to break mountains. This was no normal soldier. This was a human awakened. The hunters opened fire. The bullets hit the man, but instead of falling, he rushed forward, grabbed one hunter by the helmet, and smashed him into a tree. The tree broke. The hunter did not survive. Two more attacked from behind, striking with twin blades. The human spun, grabbing one of them and throwing him into the air like he weighed nothing. The other he hit with a punch that crushed the chest plate inward. The night hunters, the strongest force in the Empire, were falling like leaves in a storm. Vark roared, "Retreat! Retreat!" But it was too late. The human moved like a shadow with rage. His eyes glowed with something deep, ancient. Something animals feared. The hunters ran. The human chased. One by one, the screams echoed through the forest. Short, sharp, and final. Within minutes, the night hunters were gone. Every single one. Only Commander Vark remained, crawling across the ground, armor shattered, breathing heavy. He looked up at the towering human standing over him. "WH, what are you?" Vark whispered. The human leaned close. His voice was calm, cold, and deadly. "You came to hunt us." He stood tall. "Now you know." A shadow covered Vark's face. "You should have listened." And then there was silence. Back in the Empire, alarms suddenly lit up across the war center. Night Hunter Unit. No signal. Ship Dusk Fong. Destroyed. Mission status. Failure. A final message arrived. One sentence. Do not send more hunters. General Kael closed his eyes. The throne ignored every warning. Now the humans were no longer defending. They were hunting back. The moment the hidden doors opened, a cold wave spread across the chamber. The air inside felt heavy, as if something old and angry was waiting. Kael stepped in first. His boots echoed on the stone floor, the sound sharp and lonely inside the massive hall. The place looked like a forgotten temple. Tall pillars, marked with deep scars, stood like silent guards. Secret lines of energy moved through the walls, glowing in thin veins of red and blue. The throne at the end of the room was brighter now, almost alive. Asha followed Kael, her eyes fixed on the glowing seat. She felt a tight pull in her chest, like the throne was calling her name again. She hated that feeling, but it was getting stronger. Rin scanned the room with his wrist device. "Energy levels are rising," he said. "Something is waking up." Kael didn't reply. His eyes were locked on the throne. The strange power inside it was growing, and he could feel it pressing against his mind like a storm. "Stay sharp," he said finally. As they moved forward, the floor shook. Small cracks began to form beneath their feet. The light around the throne pulsed, slowly at first, then faster, like a heartbeat. Then a voice. Not loud, not clear, but deep and ancient. Return. Asha froze. Did you hear that? Kael nodded. So did Rin. None of them wanted to admit it, but the voice was not from any speaker. It came from everywhere, and nowhere. Someone is inside that throne, Asha whispered. No, Kael said. Not someone. Something. They reached the foot of the throne. Up close, it looked even more dangerous. Metal spikes curved around its base. Strange runes wrapped around its arms. Symbols none of them could read. A faint mist rose from its surface like cold breath. Asha touched one of the symbols. It burned her finger lightly. She pulled back fast. It reacts to blood, she said quietly. Rin frowned. That's not a good sign. But Kael wasn't looking at the symbols anymore. He was staring at the back of the throne, where a deep slit ran vertically down the metal, like a hidden door. We're opening it, he said. Rin hesitated. Are you sure? We don't even know what's inside. Kael turned to him. If the throne wants Asha, then we need answers before it tries anything. Asha's heart raced. The idea scared her. But she nodded. She wanted answers too. She didn't want to be hunted by something she didn't understand. Rin activated a cutting tool. Sparks flew as the metal slit slowly widened. The throne reacted instantly. The red veins across the walls flared to life. The ground shook again, harder this time. A sudden blast of energy threw Rin backward. Asha! Kael! He shouted, gripping his burning arm. Kael ran to him. You okay? Rin nodded through the pain. It fought me. Before they could decide their next move, the slit in the throne began opening by itself. A cold wind rushed out. The hall dimmed. Shadows gathered around the throne like black smoke pulled from the dark. A shape started to form inside. Asha grabbed Kael's arm. Don't let it out. But it was too late. The throne completed its opening with a deep metallic growl. A tall figure stepped forward. Its body looked like a mix of armor and flesh. Its face was hidden under a mask with long cracks running across it, glowing faintly from inside. Its movements were slow but powerful, like it had been asleep for centuries. The figure looked at Kael, then at Asha, and then the hall trembled as it knelt. My queen, the figure said, its voice broken but strong. You have returned. Asha stumbled back. No, I'm not your queen. But the figure bowed deeper. Your blood matches the throne. You carry the mark. The throne lives because of you. Kael stepped in front of Asha. You stay away from her. The figure rose slowly. It lifted its mask slightly, revealing a glimpse of dark skin marked with silver scars. Its eyes glowed like molten metal. You cannot protect her, it said calmly. The throne needs its ruler. Without her, the world will fall again. Asha shook her head. I don't know anything about this. I don't even know you. The figure touched its chest. I am Varos, the last guardian. I served you before the fall. And I will serve you again. Asha looked at Kael. Her voice trembled. What is he saying? Why does he think I'm some queen? Varos slowly lifted his hand. A thin line of energy formed in the air between him and Asha, a bond the throne created. When the throne calls, Varos said, the ruler must answer. The bond grew brighter, and Asha screamed as the energy hit her chest like a burning chain. Kael caught her before she fell. Rin shouted, break the link! But the throne pulsed again. The bond tightened, and Asha's eyes began to glow the same color as the throne. The throne room glowed brighter as Asha's eyes filled with the same burning light that ran through the ancient walls. Her body shook as the energy link wrapped around her like chains of heat. Kael held her shoulders, trying to steady her, but the force was too strong for him. Asha! Look at me! Fight it! Kael shouted. Asha heard him, but she could barely move. The energy inside her felt like fire crawling under her skin. Memories that were not hers flashed in her mind. Cities she had never seen, battles she had never fought, and a dark sky lit with falling ships. She screamed again. Varos, the tall guardian who had risen from the throne, stepped forward calmly, as if everything happening was normal. "Do not resist," Varos said. "The throne is choosing you. It sees your blood. It knows your strength." Kael turned toward him, anger burning in his voice. "If you don't stop it right now, I swear." "You cannot stop what has already begun," Varos said. Rin pushed past Kael, holding a device that flickered with weak lights. "I'm going to cut the link. I just need a clear shot." Varos moved so fast Rin didn't even see the strike coming. In one sweep of his arm, the device shattered. Rin stumbled back. "You! What are you?" Varos didn't answer. His glowing eyes remained fixed on Asha. Kael stepped between them again. "If she dies, you die first." Varos tilted his head, almost curious. "She will not die. She is waking." Asha's body jerked again as another wave rushed through her. She felt her heartbeat slow, then rise sharply. Her vision blurred. The room around her dissolved into shadows and light. Her mind fell into a memory that was not her own. A battlefield. A sky broken by smoke. A throne made of glowing stone. And a woman, who looked just like her, standing with a crown of light. Asha gasped as the memory faded. Kael's voice reached her again. "Stay with us. Don't disappear." She wanted to respond. She tried. But the throne's energy pulled her deeper. Varos placed one knee on the ground, bowing again. "Your past returns to you. The throne shows the truth because it knows you are ready." Asha forced her eyes open. Her voice cracked. "I am not your queen." Varos didn't lift his head. "You carry her blood, her face, her power. That is enough." Kael turned to Rin. "Find something. Anything that can break this." Rin crawled toward the fallen device, picking up the less damaged parts. "If I reroute the surge, maybe I can disrupt the link for a few seconds." Kael nodded. "Do it." Rin's fingers shook as he worked. Sparks crackled. The device beeped weakly. Varos rose slowly. "You cannot stop her awakening. The throne chose her the moment she entered this world." Kael's jaw tightened. Then it chose wrong. He lifted his pulse blade and stood ready to strike. Varos didn't move. He simply looked at Kael, almost disappointed. "You care for her. That is good. She will need loyal protectors. But if you stand between her and her crown, I will remove you." The ground shook again. The throne pulsed harder. Asha suddenly threw her head back. A wave of raw energy burst out of her, knocking Kael and Rin across the hall. They hit the floor hard, sliding several feet. "Asha!" Kael shouted again. But she wasn't hearing them anymore. Her feet lifted slightly off the ground. Her hair rose, pulled by an unseen wind. The glow in her eyes spread across her skin like thin golden cracks. Varos watched with reverence. "It begins." Asha drifted down slowly. When her feet touched the floor, the glow faded just a little. Her chest heaved as she tried to breathe normally again. Kael crawled toward her. "Asha, please talk to me." Asha opened her eyes. For a moment, she didn't look like herself. Her gaze was sharper, older, colder, like someone else was looking out through her. But then she blinked, and her normal expression returned. She fell into Kael's arms. I saw her," Asha whispered. "The woman in the throne. The one who looked like me. I saw her die." Kael held her tighter. "You're okay. It's over." But Varos slowly shook his head. "No. It has only begun." Rin finally reassembled his device. "I think I can cut the throne's energy for 1 minute. Just one. After that, it will overload." Kael looked at Asha. "If we break the link, will she be safe?" Varos answered before she could. "If you break the link, the throne will see it as betrayal, and it will punish her." Kael glared. "I wasn't asking you." He turned to Asha. "Do you want this link gone?" Asha swallowed hard. "I don't want to be controlled. Not by the throne. Not by memories that aren't mine." Kael nodded. Rin, do it. Rin slammed the device onto the ground. It fired a burst of bright sparks that shot straight into the throne. The room shook violently. The energy link snapped. Asha screamed as the connection tore away, burning her nerves with a final wave. Varos roared, a sound of rage and pain. Fools! You have doomed her! The throne's glowing veins turned black. The hall fell silent. Then the throne cracked. A massive surge of dark energy burst outward. Asha collapsed, and the world above them began to shake. Dust fell from the shaking ceiling as the giant crack spread across the throne. The glowing lines that once ran bright now pulsed with broken shadows. Kael carried Asha in his arms, shouting over the deep rumble filling the hall. Rin, move! The whole chamber is breaking! Rin grabbed what remained of his tools and sprinted toward them. The floor shook so violently that he almost fell. We have seconds, maybe less. Behind them, Varos stood frozen, staring at the cracking throne as if watching a dying star. His glowing eyes dimmed with fear. You fools! You have harmed something older than your own sons. Kael didn't slow down. It was harming her. Varos finally turned toward them. The throne cannot be escaped. Its bond is forever. Kael tightened his hold on Asha. Watch us. He ran toward the exit tunnel, Rin close behind. But the great doors ahead suddenly slammed shut, sealed by lines of dark energy. Rin cursed. It's locked. And the walls, they're changing. The stone walls melted like liquid metal, forming new shapes, sharp, twisted patterns that looked like claws. The entire temple felt alive, angry, awake. Varos walked forward slowly. The throne is enraged. Its queen has rejected the calling. It will do anything to reclaim her. Kael set Asha down gently and reached for his blade. She is not yours. Varos sighed. It does not matter what you want. She is chosen. Asha stirred weakly, coughing. She forced her eyes open. I'm not your queen. I'm just me. Varos knelt beside her. No. You are the mirror of the first empress. The throne recognized your blood and tried to restore what was lost. Asha shook her head. Then the throne is wrong. The ground roared again. The throne behind them shattered completely. A wave of dark, violent energy exploded outward, rushing toward them like a storm. Kael stepped in front of Asha. Rin! Shield! Rin slammed a small sphere onto the floor. A curved energy barrier formed around them just in time. The black surge crashed into it, sending cracks across the shield. Rin grit his teeth. This won't hold for long. Varos raised his hands, the golden glow in his palms fighting the dark wave. I will hold the throne's rage back. You must leave. Kael stared at him. Why help us? You tried to force her. Varos didn't turn. I serve the throne. But I also serve the bloodline. And she has chosen a different path. I cannot protect the throne, so I will protect her. A second wave of dark power smashed into them. The shield nearly burst. Asha grabbed Kael's arm. We need to escape now. Rin pointed to a small side door high on the wall. Emergency exit. Looks unstable, but it's our only shot. Kael lifted Asha again. Move. Rin disabled the shield in one quick swipe. They sprinted toward the narrow staircase leading up to the small door. But the dark wave struck again, knocking them forward. Kael stumbled, barely keeping Asha safe. Varos shouted from behind them, his voice straining. Run! I cannot hold this forever. The temple roared like a beast in pain. Walls collapsed. Floors split. Energy cracked through the air like fire. They reached the upper door. Rin forced it open, but the tunnel beyond was narrow and filled with falling dust. The whole world seemed ready to crash on top of them. Kael carried Asha inside first. Rin followed, turning back once. Varos stood alone in the center of the hall, the throne's rage closing in on him like a storm of darkness. Rin whispered, Good luck, old guardian. He shut the door. The tunnel shook behind them as they ran. Rocks fell around them like rain. Asha leaned weakly against Kael's shoulder. Everything is collapsing. Kael held her close. We're almost out. They reached a small opening that led to the surface. Kael pushed Asha through. Rin climbed out next. Kael followed last, pulling himself up into the cold wind. The world outside was shaking too. The ground cracked. The sky above the temple darkened. A shockwave burst from below, causing the earth to shake. The ancient ruins collapsed inward, swallowed by dust and light. Kael, Rin, and Asha crawled away from the edge, coughing. They watched as the temple disappeared into the ground with a final echoing roar. Silence followed. Just the wind. Just the settling dust. Rin stood first, wiping his face. It's gone. The throne. Everything. Asha slowly sat up. No, not everything. Kael turned to her. What do you mean? Asha held out her hand. A faint golden glow rose from her skin. Not wild. Not dangerous. Controlled. Some of it stayed, she whispered. Not the throne's control, but something else. A memory. A strength. Kael's eyes softened. Does it hurt? No, she said softly. Not anymore. Rin kicked a stone down the hill. Great. So now the entire empire might come for us because you glow. Asha smiled weakly. Then we keep moving. Kael nodded. Agreed. We don't bow to thrones. Not ancient ones, not living ones. He helped Asha to her feet. She looked back one last time at the ruins. The throne tried to choose my path, she said. But I choose my own. Kael wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Good. Because your story isn't ending here. Rin slung his bag over his back. Yeah. It's beginning. The three of them walked into the fading light, leaving behind the fallen throne, and walking toward a future the Empire would never be ready for.